Thanks for watching the Cardinals Nest here on HBC Channel 25, the sports show devoted exclusively to St. Mary's University and its athletic program. Dean Beckman, along with Donny Nadeau, our sports information director. Donny, later on in the program, we'll talk men's hockey with head coach Bill Moore, and also Armed Forces Night, which is coming up this weekend at the SMU Ice Arena. And Josh Mashevitz is going to be the recipient, and he's actually also the recipient of a later event this year, the Taylor Richmond Benefit Dance, but it kind of all gets started this weekend with Armed Forces Night at the Ice Arena. Yeah, Coach Moore and his staff have done a really nice job of preparing this night, and really it's a night that that they want to honor all veterans, and you know, Josh was a member of the St. Mary's hockey community for a couple of years before he joined the military, and you know, so he's going to receive some of the proceeds for the gate. But really, it's about all, you know, honoring all of our veterans and people who have you know, have fought for our country. And I know that Coach Moore and the staff have really put a lot of time and effort into that evening, and it should be a very nice tribute to everybody. Yeah, absolutely. Josh, of course, fought for the country in Afghanistan, and we'll get to his story a little bit later on when Coach Moore is on to talk about that. So men's hockey later on in the program, but first, Donny, we begin with the past week in St. Mary's athletics, and we'll start out with women's basketball, because right now the women's basketball team positioned for a possible playoff berth in the MIAC. Right now, their overall record is 11-10. More importantly, the conference record 11-7. They're, as we tape this, they're getting set to play Gustavus, number 2 in the conference, so that's going to be a tough one Wednesday night. The key one, as I see it, Donny, is that game on Saturday, a home matchup against Augsburg, because they're one of those teams that could possibly catch St. Mary's yet for that final playoff spot. Yeah, no question. With 4 games left to play, it's you know, they have a lot of work ahead of them. But no question, they're in a nice position right now. They're sitting in 5th place. The top 6 teams get to go to the postseason tournament. And like you said, Wednesday night as we tape, they've got to play Gustavus, an outstanding team that really gave St. Mary's some fits the first time they played them, just because of the way they play. They play a little different style than the Cardinals are used to, or that most teams in the conference play. So that's a little difficult. And then next Saturday, they actually close out their seasons against St. Thomas, which is the top team in the conference. So they've got 2 very difficult games there, and then, as you said, they've got Augsburg, and they still have Hamlin to play. So there's still a lot to play for, and I think you touched on it really in that Saturday's game against Augsburg is a huge game. That's a game that you know, that the Cardinals really need to make sure that they're focused on, and it's a home game, which obviously is a nice thing, but very important in that it's a team that if they beat them, they can't catch them anymore, and that's the key. And you want to keep all those teams that are below you, keep them below you, and things will be fine. And the way they're playing right now, I wouldn't be surprised if we when we're taping next week that they've won 2 games, because they're good enough, they're talented enough to beat Gustavus, and I think they have a very good shot at beating Augsburg as well. Absolutely. Lost to 25 points against Gustavus the first time out, so hopefully things go better on Wednesday. They're actually on a 2-game winning streak, though, Donny. Big wins over St. Kate, 67-44, and then right after that they went out and got a 5-point win, 57-52 against McAllister College. Yeah, the big part of the McAllister one was they were trailing by 5 points at halftime, and so it was nice to see them, you know, regroup and do a nice job against McAllister to pick up that 5-point victory. That was a huge win for them. You know, we talk about teams that are just below them in the conference standings. McAllister was another one of those teams that, you know, was kind of hovering around that 6th spot, and with that win, they earned the sweep of them, and so they hold the tiebreaker over McAllister, so that pretty much knocks McAllister out. So right now the Cardinals are sitting right about where they want to sit, and hopefully they can continue to play really good basketball. Jess Stone is playing outstanding right now. She was named MIAC Player of the Week after the week that she had, which really started out, unfortunately, in that overtime loss to Concordia last Sunday. You know, she scored the last 11 points that St. Mary's scored, the final bucket in regulation, and then she scored all 9 points in overtime, and had, you know, just had a phenomenal week. She had a couple of 20-point games, 20 points against Concordia and then 20 points against McAllister. So, you know, she's playing very well. And I think what's real interesting about Jess is more so than her scoring ability, because we all know she can score. It's the way she distributes the basketball, and she gets that ball inside to Jamie Steffley or to Courtney Early, and
she's just a phenomenal distributor of the ball, and just she sees the rinks or the court so well that it's amazing to watch her play in just that. Everybody knows she can score, but just the way she distributes that ball is pretty impressive.
And it's really been neat to see her take on that leadership role this year, too, because really in prior years she could be sort of that other player that stepped up and had some big games, but she is definitely that Concordia game where they lost by a point. You brought that up. She pretty much took that entire game on her shoulders down the stretch and nearly led the Cardinals to the upset there of the Cobbers.
Yeah, I think you're right in that her first 2 years, it was easy for her to kind of stay in the shadows and let Jess Miller and Sherry Kulig kind of do their thing out in front and score the points. And Jess was a good second. She didn't mind playing that role as out of the spotlight. And I think that this year, with those people gone, she really has stepped up and is doing an outstanding job. And you can see it in the way that she just commands. She just commands everything from the guard position and just does a phenomenal job. And inside, Courtney Early and Jamie Steffley are doing just a phenomenal job. What a great 1-2 punch to have in those two inside. And Jamie's already got 7 double-doubles this year, and so that's neat. And the thing with Jamie that you forget is that she's a junior in school, but she still has yet to finish a full season. She got hurt last year.
Sure.
Hurt her knee last year, so she missed half of the season and was battling injuries her freshman year. So this is the first year that she's been healthy for the whole year, and you can tell that it certainly is helping the Cardinals because she's doing a phenomenal job underneath.
Yeah, again, big home game, 3 o'clock on Saturday against Augsburg. Right now the Cardinals sitting in 5th place in the conference playoffs. The top 6 teams make the playoffs, so we'll see where things end up. Still 4 conference games to go. Men's basketball, Donnie, they're on a 2-game winning streak as well. 2-game winning streak for both the women and men's basketball teams as they're coming off a win over Concordia 64-60 and then a big win over McAllister at the St. Mary's 54-41. And here we see some Concordia highlights.
Yeah, they played very well last week. Monday night against Concordia, they had an outstanding performance all the way around. And then Saturday against McAllister, St. Mary's is kind of dominated McAllister since Coach Landrum has been here. They're 8-0 against them now with Saturday's win, but that was an important win for them. It was senior day for them, and anytime you have a senior day, it's kind of there's a lot of emotions going on, and coach, as a coach, you're always worried about how your team is going to come out and play, and they came out and did a great job. And really, you see Pat Freeman right there. Pat Freeman and Michael Burfine have really taken control of this team and been the on-court leaders, especially down the stretch here. If you look at the last 6 games that the Cardinals have played, both of those have been in double figures. Pat and Mike have been the leaders. Pat led the team with 19 points against McAllister, and Mike had 18. And those two they're just kind of doing their thing on the offensive end. And really, it's nice to see those two step up. It's the same kind of thing we talked about with Jess Thone, with Mike and Pat, in that last year and the year before, Will and Lucas were there, and they could kind of step out into the spotlight and do their thing. But this year, with those guys gone, those two have really stepped up and done a very nice job.
And here we see some of that domination against McAllister. And in this game, the Cardinals had it working inside out, and McAllister kept it close for the first half. But, you can see this St. Mary's men's team mature kind of right before your eyes, because they didn't get their first win until January 7th. They have won 4 since that time. And against McAllister, the Scots played them close there in the first half, but the Cardinals kind of smelled blood in the water and just took it to them in the second half.
And it's a confidence thing. They're starting to play with some confidence, and and like I said, they haven't lost to McAllister since Coach Landrum has been there, and so you step on the court with this confidence that that you can play with this team, and that you've proven already once this year that you're better than they are. And I think that the nice thing to see with the game against McAllister is that they dominated the game. And like you said, that second half, there was just no stopping them. And for them to finish that game with a large victory rather than a 2 or 3 point win is I think very important and a good statement for them.
Right, absolutely. And we talked with Coach Landrum earlier this season. The schedule maker certainly not kind to the Cardinals, and it was a tough schedule to start the season. Didn't have a home game for some time, and now 3 of their last 4 also on the road here. In fact, their last home game of the season is next Wednesday when they take on Hamlin on February 15th.
Yeah, and if you look at that schedule, you've got Augsburg and you've got Bethel and Hamlin and St. Thomas. Certainly not an easy road there to hoe. Hamlin's one of those teams that may not show it in their record, but they can put up a lot of points. And St. Thomas is the defending national champ. Augsburg is one of the top teams in the conference, and Bethel is right there battling for a playoff spot. So it's going to be a tough couple of weeks here. But again, I think that the team is playing with so much more confidence and playing just better as a team that I think that there's certainly some wins there for them to be had.
And looks like Hamlin, St. John's, kind of the last two playoff teams there, right?
Yeah, it looks like those are the two that are going to be battling for that last spot.
All right. And we move now to women's hockey. We'll have men's hockey coach Bill Moore on later on here in the program. So, Donnie, women's hockey action last weekend, they take on St. Kate's. Both of those games on the road, and they come away with the split, winning the Saturday game by a 1-0 count.
Yeah, it's really unfortunate that I talked to Coach Manor after the first game against St. Ben's on Friday, and he was like, we dominated that game start to finish and just could not get the break when we needed it. They actually fell behind in that game 3-0, came back and scored a couple of goals to get it to within 3-2, but couldn't get the equalizer. And I think what made Coach Manor happy was the fact that they turned around then on Saturday with another road game and come away with the 1-0 win. It was nice to see Rachel Gates-Vickery get her first goal, and that was amazingly, that was the only goal of the game. Sarah Gustafson had 40 saves for the shutout. That was her second shutout of the season, fourth of her career. So that was an outstanding individual performance. But I think more importantly is they got that win. They really needed that one. They've got 3 weekends left, the road certainly isn't going to get any easier for them, as they've got Gustavus this weekend. They're the top team in the conference. They've got Concordia coming here for the following weekend. They're the second team in the conference, and then they finish up the week after that. So there's a lot of hockey to play, but it's against some very, very top competition.
And we'll have Friday's game right here on HBC Channel 25. I'll be doing that broadcast there on February 10th, again, against Gustavus' top team. And where are the Cardinals sitting as we go back to the standings? They're 3-6-3 in the conference, Donnie. Do they have a shot here at the playoffs?
Yeah, mathematically they have a shot, but right now what they've got to do is they've got to get some wins. And unlike basketball, it's only the top 5 teams that make the playoffs in
so they have to
in
catch
women's
Bethel.
Hockey. So they've got to catch Bethel. They're 3 back of Bethel right now. So the road certainly isn't going to be easy, but whoever said they wanted it easy,
right.
I guess,
well, and I tell you, if you knock off a Gustavus this weekend, even get one win there, that's going to be huge going into the last few games of the season.
Absolutely, so. and it's a big weekend for them, and St. Mary's always has played Gustavus very tight, and Gustavus, it's interesting. They've got such an impressive record. They played Hamlin last weekend, and they won 2 one-goal games, even though they outshot the Pipers 123-17. So it's like they can put the puck on the net, but right now they're not scoring at a very good clip. Sarah Gustafson playing very well. There's no reason that the Cardinals can't steal one from them.
All right, well, let's hope that continues. So Friday at 7 p.m. right here on Channel 25 for that St. Mary's Gustavus game. Donnie, tennis action is back in action at St. Mary's, and we'll begin with the men's tennis team. And actually, we could say this for both men and women because they both end up splitting their first 2 contests of the season. But we begin with the men, where they had a 5-1 victory over Milwaukee School of Engineering before losing to Lutheran.
Yeah, it's February 4th, and we're talking spring sports already. So something's not right. It was a good weekend. I talked to Coach Halberg after those 2 matches, and they pick up the win against MSOE, and then lost to a very, very talented Luther team, ranked 11th in the region right now. And so it was one of those matches that Coach Halberg would have loved to have seen the win, but I think for a season opening weekend to go 1-1, he's pretty happy with that. Bobby Steingrabber had a great weekend. He won both of his singles matches at number 2. And then teamed up with Mike Lunka and won both of his double matches at number 1. His match against the player from MSOE went 3 sets, and if you look at the score there, the last set went 13-11. It was an absolute marathon, and Coach Halberg said it was, Bobby really trained hard over the summer, and he's determined to make this junior year one to remember, and those are the kind of matches that you need to win. It's hard when you get to that 3rd set, and for him to have to go, extra time even in the third set, it was good to see him come away with the victory.
And it's another Sunday doubleheader, 9 a.m., 3 p.m., 9 o'clock against Edgewood College, and then 3 p.m. against Martin Luther College.
Yeah, it'll be good for them to get 2 more non-conference matches before they kick off their conference season. And Coach Hallberg likes where they're at right now. He likes what he's seen, but he's pointing toward the conference schedule. But it's always important to get these non-conference matches in, just to kind of get yourself in match shape as they get ready for conference play.
And then the women's team, a big loss against Winona State, 9-0, but did they ever rebound against Northwestern last Friday with an 8-1 win?
Yeah, and same, I sound like a broken record, but for our first 2 matches of the season, I think Coach Hallberg was pretty pleased with the way things went for the women to bounce back from that 9-0 loss to Winona State with an 8-1 win was very good. Northwestern's a solid team, and the Cardinals really put together a nice performance. It's going to be fun to talk about the Edwards sisters, and that all 3 of them. You've got Bailey and Killian and McKenna playing 1, 2, and 3 at the singles, and then Bailey and McKenna teaming up at number 1 doubles, and then Killian playing with Abby Voigt at number 2 doubles. So we're going to be saying Edwards probably as much as we say Cardinals when we start talking women's sports.
Absolutely. Donnie, real quick, not a lot of action in swimming and diving, as they've been in some meets recently where team scores haven't been kept. Their most recent performance was at the Minnesota Challenge.
Yeah, Coach Lindquist is really preparing his team right now. Next weekend is the conference championship, so they've got this final weekend of preparation, and then it's that 3 days that we've talked about for since we started talking swimming and diving, and they went to the Minnesota Challenge really more just to kind of compete. Coach Lindquist didn't put any stock in times or place finishes. It was more just let's get them in there, get them in a competitive setting, and see what they can do. The divers are having a busy week. And on Tuesday they were up in Northfield for the Northfield Diving Invitational, and then Friday they'll be at St. Thomas for another diving invitational. And Liz Flynn had a great night Tuesday night. She won the 3-meter in a school record fashion, and then finished second in the 1-meter. And then Sarah Jansen and Bill Baker also did a nice job finishing third in both events. So diving-wise, it's a good week for them. They get a couple of more competitions where they're doing the 11-event dives, which they'll be doing at the conference championship. So it's a good week for them to finally fine-tune their performances as they get ready for the conference championships. The swimming team will not be competing this weekend at St. Thomas. Eric pulled them out of that so that they could just train and get ready for next weekend in the conference championships.
All right, and we want to get Bill Moore on here in just a minute, but quick, Donnie, the track and field team at the University of Wisconsin-Stevens Point Invitational last weekend, and again, performing very well as they continue to improve in their indoor season.
Absolutely. Coco Booker winning the shot put's a great feat for her, and the distance runners, we had 3 of them in the top 7 in the 5K, so they did very well. And Coach McMahon's excited about this weekend. On Friday, they've got the Cardinal Open up at St. Mary's. It's a 3-team meet, but it'll be a lot of fun and a lot of competition. And same kind of thing. They're just kind of preparing themselves as they get ready for 3 more weeks, and they're talking conference championships as well.
All right, it's all coming up soon. All right, stay tuned here. We're going to talk about men's hockey action with head coach Bill Moore, and we'll preview Armed Forces Night at the SMU Ice Arena. That's coming up next here on HBC's Cardinals Nest.
When the puck drops, there's only one place to be. For Gopher hockey, the excitement, the passion, the rivalries. Big hit there. Only on Fox Sports North.
BTN hits the hardwood for college hoops.
Oh, this could be fun!
Witness all the excitement of the season when Rodney Williams and the Gophers take the floor.
Oh! Young fella! Get the puck!
Big Ten basketball all season long on BTN.
And we're back here on the Cardinals Nest. Thanks for watching here on HBC Channel 25. Dean Beckman, Donny Nadeau, and Bill Moore, the head coach for the men's hockey team, joining us. And Bill, we want to get to Armed Forces Night. We'll do that here in just a little bit to preview that, tell you what's going to happen there. But first, let's kind of recap the season a little bit. HBC had a chance to be at your last game. A couple of really tough 3-2 losses last weekend there against St. John's University. And I tell you, those one-goal games, that's been the theme of the season, hasn't it, for your team?
It definitely has. In my 26 years of coaching, I've never had this many one-goal games. Just it is what it is.
I mean, it's unbelievable, and you know, those games against St. John's, and especially that Friday night game, that's the game that we were at there, that was one. It was seesaw battle the whole way. That's about as evenly played hockey as I've seen in a long time. I mean, that one could have went either way. Unfortunately, the Johnnies came out on top there.
Absolutely, and I think the key to our season right now, and the key to as we move forward, is we've got to find a player that can get a big goal at the big time in the game to turn those one-goal losses into one-goal wins.
Mm-hmm. Talk a little bit about Saturday's game. I know we talked off camera earlier today. You know, you're coming off of a 3-2 loss. You fall behind 3-0 after 2 periods, but yet the guys don't throw in the towel. They don't you know, hang their heads. They came back and fought, and really about 5 minutes left in that game, it's 3-2, and you guys are pushing for that equalizer.
Absolutely, and I'm very proud of the guys for that. I mean, you're sitting at this point with the number of one-goal losses we've had, with the fact that we're mathematically eliminated from playoffs. It would have been very easy for them to leave the locker room and just make it through the last 20 minutes and get the game over with and really not care. But that isn't the type of kids they are, and they busted their butt in the third period, got back in the game, took the goals one at a time, got back to 3-2. We had about 5 minutes left in the game that we were going after the tie and dominated the third period.
Talk about your approach to the final 4 games now. You've got Gustavus this weekend, then you go up to Moorhead for a couple games against Concordia. You've played very well against Gustavus in the past. Last year you beat them 4-3 and then lost in overtime. So it should be a real battle again this weekend.
Absolutely, and I think that the quality of the character of our guys is they're going to play hard every single day, and we're going to give both teams as much as they want to handle.
And the Saturday night game, February 11th, is Armed Forces Night at St. Mary's. Before we get to the recipient and all of that, Bill, maybe tell us the genesis for having this Armed Forces Night, because this is relatively new, isn't it?
It is. It's something we hadn't done in the past, and you know, we talked about doing it back in November for Veterans Day, but unfortunately we were on the road, and it just didn't happen. And we've done different things to try to plan for it. But it just worked out that this weekend was going to be where it would fit in. Last weekend was senior night, so it was tough to fit it in that weekend. And with Armed Forces Night, we want to honor all of the veterans that have served our country. And then, yeah, Josh is going to be the recipient of the gate receipts that we get that night. But it isn't just about Josh. It's about all veterans that have served our country.
Yeah, it's a terrific idea, and hopefully we'll get a big crowd out for that. And just a little bit more about Josh. He's actually someone who attended St. Mary's for a couple of years and did play junior varsity hockey, correct?
He did. He played up till 2007, joined the Marines, and I don't know Josh as well as I would have liked to. He left before I got to St. Mary's, but had an accident in Afghanistan and is trying to recover now at Bethesda Hospital in Maryland.
Yeah, he's involved in one of those landmine explosions, and you hear a lot about them, but here we see how it affects just one individual. Suffered the loss of both legs, 2 shattered eardrums, and he's in the process, the recovery process now. So any kind of financial and medical help that the family can receive is going to, you know, certainly help and go toward a great cause. So this is the start of it for Josh as far as St. Mary's contributions to his recovery. Mm-hmm. But he'll also in March be the recipient of the proceeds from the Taylor Richmond Benefit Dance. And so it was nice to kind of piggyback on that.
Absolutely, and I think the more important thing too is, as much as we want to help Josh, we also want to start that tradition of honoring our veterans every year, and this is just the first step of that.
Yep, and so you'll have the color guard, right, during the national anthem? And,
yep, and then we have a little ceremony kind of at the end to honor all veterans, and we're hoping that we can do it with God Bless America.
Yep, that's great. Saturday, February 11th, 7:30 p.m. at the SMU Ice Arena. Hopefully you'll be able to make it out for that. Bill, speaking of ceremonies, we had here on HBC the senior night ceremony for your hockey team. And, talk about that ceremony. What's going through your mind as you're standing out there with the seniors and giving them their plaques?
I'm just thinking of how proud they should be of themselves and changing kind of the atmosphere and the culture that we have. Our 4 seniors graduating had a 3.56 cumulative grade point average between the 4 of them, and just the leadership and the off-ice things that they have brought to the program and modeled for the younger kids so that it can continue to grow and do the things that we want to do. I felt bad for them. I wish we would have gotten more wins in their careers so that they would have that experience as well. But like we talked about, they're just tremendous people, and they really, really set the tone for the younger kids coming up and how we want to run the program.
Well, and Bill, you and I had a chance to talk in between periods here on HBC, and one of the things I mentioned during that interview is as they were rattling off all of the accomplishments, there were as many academic ones, and that's just great to hear because clearly that's what they're at St. Mary's for.
Absolutely. They're not going to feed their family with hockey. They're going to take good care of their wife and their kids with their academic experience that they've gained.
You know, and you've always talked about that, how important it is to be the student part of student-athlete, because I know we've talked many times, when you recruit, it's not just about the hockey player that you're recruiting, it's that whole individual. Talk a little bit about your approach to that.
Well, I think we look at 3 things when we're recruiting a kid. Number 1 is character. We want good kids, we want kids that are respectful, and we want kids that can represent St. Mary's University in an extremely positive light. The second thing we want are good students because, again, we're doing them an injustice if they come in and just make it through so that they can play hockey. There's a lot cheaper ways to play hockey in their life. They're coming here to get a good education so that they can be good fathers, be good husbands, things like that, and just really treat their family to a wonderful lifestyle. And then obviously we want to give them the experience of hockey, but the 3 priorities have to be in that order or they just don't work for us.
Donnie, I want to ask you a question because Joey, your son, was one of the seniors that was honored. You now have had 2 sons, Andy and Joey, go through the program. What's it been like from your experience, and what was it like watching Joey there on a Saturday?
It wasn't a lot of fun, I'll tell you that. It was kind of sad. You know, you're with these kids for, I mean, I've coached Joey since he was 3 years old, so to see him play his senior night was it was pretty special, and you know, it's pretty cool that that he got to play under Coach Moore, one of my best friends, and you know, it's a tough time. You know, it was tough when Andy graduated, and I know he played I'll never forget, he played St. Thomas when he had senior night. So it's a very special day, and you hope that they realize it when they're our age and they can look back and have fond memories of their playing time, because that's the part that that ends. The rest of it, like Coach said, you're still a person. You use what you've gotten from St. Mary's to go on with the rest of your life, and hockey's just a part of that.
Yeah, lessons for life, no question about it. And I'll bet you coaching Joey was a lot easier than working with Donny.
Absolutely, absolutely. No, one thing we try to tell our guys is when they leave, we want them to love St. Mary's as much as we do at 50 years old, and they got to get the full package of experience in order to do that.
All right, Bill Moore, thanks for being on the show, and good luck here the rest of the season.
Thank you very much.
All right, that's going to do it. Remember, Armed Forces Night this Saturday. Thanks for watching the Cardinals Nest here on HBC.